Alrighty, welcome everybody. It's Wednesday night and I hope you're ready to do some stamping. I'm having a few issues with my Switcher Studio. It's doing some weird things. So on my Facebook page and probably on YouTube too, it announced it several times. So I do apologize for that. I'm trying to work out why it's doing that. So anyway, it's doing what it's going to do, I guess. So anyway, my name is Julie Brown. I'm an independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator and welcome to my site. Just real quick, this is information on how to reach out to me. So if you'd like to place an order, you can do it at juliebrown.stampinup.net, or there will be a link in the description. You can also email me at juliescreativestampin' without the G at gmail.com. And then obviously you're either watching me on YouTube or Facebook. So I'm assuming that you already know those channels. And then always check out my blog, juliescreativestamping.com. I would love to have you check that out and go visit there. All right, so let's talk about what we're going to be working on tonight. I really wanted to use the designer series paper in this set tonight to really show you guys how you can make quick and easy cards. But then the last card, I'm actually bringing in a bunch of other products, just to show you that you can work with all of this stuff with other products, mainly the bundle. But sorry, but let's talk about the suite. So this is called the On the Go suite. Let me put that up there for you. There's the number. So if you think you might like this, write that number down for future reference. And let's talk about what's in the suite. So part of the suite is going to be this Tags to Go bundle, and that is the stamp set and the dies. And I love these dies. Look at all the little keys and stuff on these dies. Let me move that out of the way. So I love the little keys and stuff on the dies. And then it has this really fun sentiment stamp set, plus a few other little stamps that are in here that can also help to make putting together cards really fun and quick with this. Then we have this is called Pack Your Bags, and it has these 3 colors. Now this color, you guys are probably going, what color is that? That's actually one of the new in colors that's coming out in May, and it's Strawberry Slush. So there's that one. Then it has this really fun pack of puffy, what are they calling them? Puffy stickers, I think. On the Go puffy stickers. And so I will be using these on one of the cards so you can see how those go in. Oh, hey, Mel. Gosh, you haven't been on in a while. I'm so glad you're here tonight. And then I apologize. I can only show you one sheet of each because I've been making so many things with this set. And this one, unfortunately, has been cut because what I did was I took a couple of these sheets and I actually fussy cut all these little suitcases out. But this is that side, and then the other side has that pattern there. The next one is a whole thing of tags. Again, I fussy cut one of these whole pages out, but then you have this really fun street, kind of like an overhead map on that one. And then we have this one here. And next week, I'm going to actually show you guys how to put together a travel journal with this sheet and a few more pieces out of this. For those of you that don't know, I do a lot of junk journaling in my classes. I bring in Stampin' Up! Products all the time for that. So we're going to do a travel journal. So if there's any of you that are thinking about going on a trip, this might come in really handy. Now the other thing, and I don't think I have it over here, is part of the bundle is these little they make little like suitcases. And so next week we're going to do the travel journal and we're going to do the suitcase. So make sure you tune in there. Oh, sorry. Other side is this Strawberry Slush with the stripes. And some of you that have been with Stampin' Up! For a while might recognize that Strawberry Slush color because it was a color a long time ago. And they've brought it back. And then there's this really fun one with like all the keys. I know that the keys don't look that way anymore. You know, nowadays you get a little card to get into your room. But I can remember going to motels and getting this little tag on a key when we traveled. And then this has kind of a wavy pattern on it. And then you've got this really fun pattern here where it's got a map, a camera, a globe, pictures, all sorts of fun. And then of course this is the checked strawberry slush side. And then this is the smaller tags. And then on this side, it's got this, I don't know if you guys can see, but that actually has hearts in the middle of that little like teardrop type thing. All right, so that is the designer series paper and the suite. And so I'm just gonna get that out of the way so we can get started with our first card. So I really wanted to focus on using the designer series paper because I feel like I've just been talking to a lot of my people that come to our class, and I've heard them say, I've got so much paper, I've got so much paper. Well, it's because they're not using it. And so, so when I got down to the bottom of, well, why do you have so much paper? And it's because they get it and then they don't want to cut it up because it's so pretty. So I'm going to encourage you to cut your paper, use your paper, but that's why I really wanted to focus tonight on seriously like using the pieces of this designer series paper. So what you're going to need for this one is I cut a 2 by 5.5 of this. This is the opposite side of all those little packages. And then I fussy cut out this tag. And then these were on the edge of the paper. So like when you're cutting out that paper, even these pieces on the edge, we can use those. So don't throw those away. And I'm going to show you how we use them tonight. And then you're going to need a piece of 4 by 5.25 of a white, and then a little strip or a little scrap piece of some silver foil. So let's get started. We're going to kind of start building, and then we'll do the little bit of die cutting that we're going to do. Let's go ahead and do our stamping first. So what I wanted to do is I brought in Shy Shamrock, and I'm going to use these little, oh, you know what? I need a scrap paper, sorry, because I'm going to be stamping off the page a little bit. So I'm going to be using this little arrow that's in the kit. So we're going to just ink that up, and we're going to stamp it once, and then stamp it this way, and then stamp it again. So we did first, second, and third generation stamping on the bottom of that. Got to grab my chamois. And then for the sentiment on the inside of this, we're going to use the Today Marks an Adventure from the set, and we're going to bring in black memento. I'm trying to use just a couple of colors. So if you're new to stamping, then you can, you know, get away with making these with just a few colors. Oh, I forgot to tell you guys. So also, if you guys decide you like these cards and you'd like the card kits, all you got to do is place a minimum order of $40, and I will send you the kit. Now, understand you have to have the stamp set to do the stamping, or you could use a sentiment stamp set that you have at home. But anything that you see me die cutting, you will get all of those pieces die cut ahead of time, and all of these little pieces that I fussy cut out, you will also get in those kits. So there'll be 4 card kits that you get. And again, there is a shopping link in the description. Okay, so there's the inside. Now, also another announcement for all of you. If you're not aware, Stampin' Up! Has changed the way that their rewards work. Before, you had to host a party to get rewards, and you had to have a minimum sales of $150 to get any hostess rewards. Well, Stampin' Up! Has taken away hostess rewards, and it's good news for you guys. And what they've done is they've just given out rewards. So now, anytime you spend $20, you're going to get 10% back in rewards, which will show in your online account. And you can actually build those up and then use them whenever you want to use them. So it was really good news for all of our customers. So I was super excited about that. Okay, so now I'm going to take this, And before I put it on there, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take these pieces that were cut from like the side of the paper, and that's why I'm telling you, even those sides of the paper. So let me show you what I'm talking about. So if this is my paper, see all these pieces that are cut off on the side? I still cut all of, now I didn't do the umbrellas, but I did cut out all the little bags because you'll see how I add those to pages. We don't waste anything. So I'm just going to use my liquid glue here. And I'm going to turn this one around, and it's at a kind of an angle, and I'm just going to use that angle, but I'm just going to match it up with this left side. I'm going to do the same thing with this little red suitcase as well. So how many of you on here actually travel? I actually just got back from California going to see my grandson play baseball. And so I do travel. And so this little set just really spoke to me because I do quite a bit of traveling. So I'm going to put the lid back on that. And then I'm going to take this. I'm going to bring in my Stampin' Seal Plus. And we're going to run this on there. So Mel, I'm so glad to see you here. You haven't been on in a while. I know you've been super busy. I stalk you on Facebook. No, just kidding. But not. That's how, you know, isn't that funny? That's how we kind of keep up with each other because we're all so busy nowadays. Especially when we don't live in the same state or city. It's a lot harder to, you know, always stay in contact with everybody. So I'm so happy that, sorry, I have so many friends that do put posts up there. Mel's been one of my friends that she's done a lot of traveling, and I've always been able to kind of travel through her and see all the wonderful places that she goes because she's really good at posting pictures of her travels. And I do, just so you know, I appreciate that. I appreciate seeing those. Okay, so we've got that on there so far. So then we're going to come in with this tag, and we're going to go ahead and we're going to get that life's detours are better with you. I mean, who hasn't had life detours in their life? I mean, most of you on here know my story and know everything that has happened with my family over the past few years. And so we've had a lot of detours and things that really kind of could have moved us off our path, but hopefully we've stayed there. Yes, I know. 5 p.m. Yeah, that's right. It is 5 o'clock your time, isn't it? I know, and it's so funny. And then I have people that watch me that are from back east, and they're like, "Oh my gosh, you know, it gets late when we watch you." And so I'm trying to take care of everybody, but it's really hard. So now I'm going to come in, and we're going to pop in these little hearts. Now, ignore my heart, because when I put the label on it, it was really messed up. And I actually ended up cutting around it because it had a really long edge over here, and it was messing me up when I was stamping this one. And so, again, I messed up when I put that label on, and it's really had me a little messed up stamping this little heart, but I'm getting it figured out. And so we're going to put 3 little hearts down there. Then what we're going to do is we're going to pop over to the die cut machine, and we are going to use the key die cut. So let me pop you over there. And so we're going to use this key, or not the key, the lock. We're going to be using the lock. And so I'm just going to pop this in. And of course, you know, if you feel like you need to, if you have a small enough piece where you're afraid this might move, then you'll want to tape that in place. But I've got plenty there, so I wasn't too worried about it moving. So we're just going to run that through our die cut machine. And then we're just gonna get rid of, you can hold on to these little tiny pieces if you want to. I'm sure you can find something, especially for me because I do junk journaling, so I can always find things to do it with. All right, so let's come back over here. Oh, hey, Richie. Thanks for joining. So then we're gonna just pop that out of there. And then what I needed to do here was I needed to come in with my paper snips. And I'm gonna just do a little slice right there. And then I came in with a little tiny circle hole punch. And I actually wanted to punch this circle out. So I did that. And then I am going to just kind of pull this carefully apart because I want to make it look like we've got a lock on that right there. And then you can hide where it goes together behind that. And the way I did that was I kind of moved it over here, brought in my liquid glue, stuck a little liquid glue across the top of this, and then carefully moved this back in place and kind of just stuck that on there right where I cut it, basically, is where that goes. And then I'm going to go ahead and put a little dab of glue right there, not a lot, just to kind of hold that one down. Okay, now what we're going to do, because I'm using puffy stickers on this one, I chose not to pop this up. So I'm just going to come in with my Stampin' Seal Plus. And we're going to stick that on here. And then this is going to come in here and it's going to go at an angle, even though it's going to cover some of that suitcase at the bottom. Then I'm going to come in with these fun puffy stickers, and we're just going to pull off one of the strawberry slush, and then one of the black ones, and I'm going to have that go this way. Then I want one of these over here, and I think I'll pull this black one again as well. And I'm going to stick it down here. Okay, so because I used the paper, we're done with card 1. That was pretty fast, right? And look how cute that came out. How fun is that? Life's detours are better with you. Today marks an adventure. All right, so there's card 1. Now we're going to move on to card 2. The first 2 cards are really quick and easy. The next ones are easy, but it just takes a little bit more die cutting. Okay, so for the next card, for those of you, I told you guys what I was using. You're going to need a card base that is basic black, 5.5 by 8.5, scored at 4 1/4. And then I cut this out of that, that sheet that has all the big tags on it. And then we need a basic black piece that is 2 1/4 by 2 3/4. And then I cut a piece of this DSP that is 4 by 5 1/4. And then here's another one of those little corner pieces from that sheet, because we're not wasting anything. And then a 4 by 5 1/4. So let's go ahead and do our stamping first. And so on this one, we're going to stamp in the center, today marks an adventure. And we're going to do that in basic black. Again, I tried not to bring in a lot of different colors. So just in case you're getting started, you don't get overwhelmed, because you can just, you know, I mean, honestly, you could use basic black with almost all the stamping in this, and it would still look cute. So there's the today marks an adventure. And then on the inside, we're going to do the congratulations. Let me clean this off. And just as a tip, if you stamp off a few times before you clean it on your chamois, then your chamois is not going to look as bad as mine. Understand, mine goes through tons of class participants. So they get used a lot, and I do put them in the washing machine on gentle cycle to get them washed, but they still are, mine are pretty much permanently stained at this point. So then, and again, here's the stamp set, right? So I used this one on the front, and then now I'm going to bring in this one that says congratulations. I'm just going to line that up. Probably going to stand up so I can see better. And then we're just going to put the congratulations down on there. Just like so. Again, I'm going to stamp off before I clean it. We're going to clean that with the chamois. Let me close that up. And then we're going to bring in this little piece that I cut off of the edge of that front. Now this time we want it to go a little bit lower and a little bit off to the right. And because I'm doing that, I'm going to bring in my silicone mat so I don't get glue on the paper. So now we're just going to bring this in. And I'm just going to put that so that it hangs off. And lay that down like so. And the reason I did that is because when I fussy cut, I left this white edge. And I was afraid that if I put that up even, that white edge would look like I didn't quite get it on right. So that's my reasoning behind hanging this one off. Then you just turn it over and you snip it. And snip this one so that it's all nice and even. Alrighty. And now I'm going to go ahead and put that in the card base. So let's move the silicone mat out of the way. We're going to burnish it with our bone folder to make sure that that's a nice crease right there. I'm going to come in with the Stampin' Seal Plus. And it's going to just, and you guys will notice I don't use it like the whole way. I just use it in the four corners when I'm putting this on. And that's going to go on the inside. All right, and then we're going to take this one and it's going to go on the front. And again, guys, we forget that, you know, Stampin' Up! Makes this designer series paper to coordinate with everything to make our lives easier. And I sometimes feel like we overcomplicate our cards sometimes when we don't need to. Although I like the overcomplicated ones, don't get me wrong. But just look how nice and simple and easy this can be by just using designer series paper. Did I get that straight? Black, I always have a harder time with black. Nope. I can see it's not quite straight. So let me pull that back up so I can move it. That's one of the only problems about Stampin' Seal Plus is it really holds. So you kind of want to not push down too hard when you first put it on there. Then what we're going to do is we're going to take this piece and we're going to attach it to this. Again, I think I'll just use my liquid glue this time. And don't forget, if you guys have any questions, you can ask me questions. I do look up once in a while to see the screen. And even when I was fussy cutting this out, I wasn't worried about getting like super crisp edges, because when you look at this page and you look at these tags, they're all like, see how the black doesn't go all the way through? They look like they've been drawn in. And so I was trying to keep in the spirit of that. So that, excuse me. So now we're going to bring in our paper snips and we are just going to cut. We're going to try to follow this angle here. Okay, so we're just cutting those angles. Just like so. Then we're going to come in with the strawberry slush twine, and remember, you get a 3-pack, so you get 3 different colors. And so we're going to bring this twine in, and we are going to wrap this around a few times. And let me show you a little trick here. If you will put some Stampin' Seal Plus on the back, it'll help hold this in place when you're trying to wrap it. All right, so we're going to go up here, go kind of straight across there, and then we're going to come bring that down there, bring that across there. And I think I want to do 3 wraps here. So now I'll come here. Okay, hold on. I'm going to move this down just a bit. Sorry. I'm going to start straight across, and then I'll be able to get my angles better. Then I can come up here and across. This is actually going to stay there. Okay, where's my, oh, there it is. It's like, where's my back? And then this is going to come over here and down. This way. Then we're going to come by and kind of go in the middle, but then we're going to come back up over here. Even though I've got this piece here, because these two are going to meet and tie. So then I'm going to snip that off, get that out of the way. And then what I do is I will actually tie my first knot. And the other thing, by putting that on the back, it holds it nice and tight. Oh, but because I have glue here, I want to bring in my silicone mat so that I can actually get this tied the way that I want it tied. And so I'm going to tie it once, maybe. All right. And then I'm actually going to take this bottom, the longer of the two, and I'm going to lift these up, and I'm going to push that there. All right, so now I can tie another knot, and it actually will keep that right where I want it to be. All righty, so I'm not going to worry about the long pieces until I get this on. And so now we're going to, on the back, we're going to come in with some dimensionals. And let me get one that actually has a full page of dimensionals. Yay! Okay, so we're going to take our dimensionals and we're going to stick one on, we're going to put 2 on top of where the thread is, and then we're going to put 2 on the bottom. I just got these in today, so they are like brand new dimensionals, and they are wanting to stay stuck to their page for sure. So let's get these on there. Just like that. And then I'm going to go ahead and pull all of the tops of those papers off. All right, then we're going to bring this in. Move this out of the way. And then we're just going to kind of, not so much really like super center, but we want to be a little bit higher than we are lower on this. And then we're just going to stick that on there. And then we're going to clip our little pieces here. And wow, that was not good. And then we are done with card 2. Again, and it's because I'm using designer series paper that's making this go pretty quick. So this says today marks an adventure, and then congratulations. And I love the little suitcase here, and then our little tag here. So super quick, super easy. All right, so for card number 3, because I got to do a pre-order, I actually have strawberry slush on hand. So we're going to use strawberry slush. And so let's go ahead and burnish this. All right. And I think we can move this out of the way now. And then what we're going to do is you need a 4 by 5 1/4 basic white piece. And then you're going to need a small gold foil. We're going to use this tag that came out of that big sheet of paper that we fussy cut around. Then we're going to use a 4 by 5 1/4 of this pattern. And then we're going to use a 4 1/8 by 5 3/8 of the Shy Shamrock. Now we are going to be layering, so we're building up on this one. And so we are going to come in and we're going to bring in the textured note dies to do this. These are a new online exclusive. And I don't know if you guys can see, but they have all these fun patterns on them. And so we're going to use these as a tool. And so what we're going to do is for this one, and I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to get them all put together right here in front of you, so you can see how I lay them up. So for the Shy Shamrock, we are using, okay, sorry. And again, I number my dies from starting with 1 as the smallest up to the largest. So you'll see that I've put a little label here. And so we're going to use number 7, and it's going to go on this one. And then I'm going to bring in some, and actually what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring in the base of our die cut machine so that I've got this ready. And so I'm going to like tape that in place there. Sorry, I'm just reaching to grab some more. I use these Post-it note. It's kind of like washi tape, but it's a little bit, it's like sometimes you get, I don't know about you guys, but sometimes you get washi tape that's too strong and it tears your paper. And so I've been using these Post-it notes. Oh, actually, I'm just going to do it down here. Okay. So that was die number 7. And then the next one that we're going to use is number 5. And I'm going to just get this in here so that it is evenly spaced. And this one I'm just gonna, did that whole thing just move? Something moved. Yep, it did. This one's not sticking very good. Let me use one of these newer pieces. You can use them over and over again, but once they've been used a bunch, then they don't stick as good. Okay, so this is going to go up here, and then I'm going to bring that down here. And then the next one we're going to use is the number 3. So the number 3 is going to go right in the center. And that's going to go, just hold this. So this is just to like basically hold them in place. So I didn't quite get that centered. And this is kind of important, so let me take the time to do that. Okay, now I'm going to move this over to the die cut machine, but I'm going to go ahead and do these first before we do that. Okay, so on this one, we are using, the first die is die number 6. And again, I have numbered my dies. So when you guys get your dies, okay, one, they don't have this magnetic piece in it. I put that in there. And then they don't have those little numbers on them because I'm the one who numbers those. So just as a heads up, you're not going to get all of that. All right, so let me just tear this in half. Oh, put the cut side down. Did I do that on those? Oh my gosh, I didn't. Oh, heck. I'm going to have to redo those really quick. So sorry, guys. Someone should have told me, hey, you don't have the cut side down. I'm talking too much. Okay, so there's the number 6. Then we're going to use the number 4, and it's going to go next. And again, I'm just trying to get this spaced as evenly as I can. And I'm going to use that one up there, this one down here. And then the last one we're going to use, is it the, yeah, it is the number 2. So it's the number 2. Mel, you were just going to tell me, thanks. I'll move you guys over to the die section and I'll flip those over. But I was like, oh my heck. I was so busy trying to show you guys the cool design on there that I didn't have the cut side down. So let's move this over. Sorry. All right, let's bring that back. And so what I'm talking about, I got to do this whole thing over, shoot, is this is the cut side, right? This is the non-cut side. So this side has to be face down. And I was so busy admiring all the pretty designs that I wasn't paying attention to what I was doing. All right, so let's get this on here. Sorry about that, people. So this card wouldn't have taken quite as long if I would have been paying attention to what I was doing. Okay, so then we're going to have number 5. And then that one's going to go in here. And I'm sure some of you have done this. We used to have a set of, and if you guys have those dies, they will work really good for this. The stitched rectangle dies, do you guys remember those? So if you have those in your stash, those will actually work really well for this, the way that we're cutting this and the way that we're going to layer this. So this whole process, you can use the stitched rectangle dies if you have those. I mean, you know, part of this whole thing with, you know, what we do is using what we have, correct? Okay, so now let's go over to the die cut station. And we're going to run these through the die cut machine. So there we go. And then I'm going to set them back over on the station. And we'll pull them apart over there. But I do want to point out to you guys, so when you're doing die cutting, you need number 1, okay, number 1, then number 2, and then you need both number 3s. You need one for underneath, and then you put that in between, and then one for the top. I know most of you know how to do that, but I do like to try to remind everybody because it can get confusing. And don't mind that big pop because that actually is okay when you hear that. Okay. Whew. All right, so now let's get back over here. We're going to tear all these pieces off. And then we're going to be ready to put the card together. So this one just took a little bit longer because we needed to die cut. Now this piece we're not going to use, okay? So we're not using that. So we need these 3 pieces. And I don't know, can you guys see let me get this smaller one. Can you see the decoration see the edging that it put on there? And then it's going to do the same thing for these. That's why I like those stitched rectangle dies, because I love that it put like a stitching around it. But this one is becoming quickly my favorite, because it has these, even though they're not all stitched, they are also puts like it embosses as well as cuts out. So again, this piece you don't need. You can just throw this away. And then let me just set all these back in here where they go, and they just nestle right inside each other like so. Okay, but we are going to need these 3, but we do not need that little piece of Post-it tape. All right, so can you see the stitching on that one? See how it's a little bit different? So super cool. Okay, so now what we're going to do is we're going to bring, nope, we're not. We're going to build it over here. Okay, so now what we're going to do is we're going to put these like back and forth onto each other. And you want to make sure that your pattern is facing the right way. And so I'm just going to come in just for speed. We're going to use our Stampin' Seal Plus. And then if you do go over, you can fold that back. All right, so now we're going to take this one, and it's going to, oh, I have another little edge that's over. So we're going to get this, and it, oh my gosh, I've still got an edge. Sorry, I need to get those edges to make sure they're not. What I'm seeing is the glue. So now we want to get this as centered as we can on here. All right, and we're going to just press that down. Okay, so then we're going to come in with this piece, because it's every other. Well, if I could, like, you know, run my Stampin' Seal Plus straight, then I wouldn't have that glue coming out. So then this is going to layer on top of this one. Like so. And then we're going to bring in this piece again. Make sure that it's directional, so it's, you know, you don't want it upside down where the keys are upside down. You want it, I'm going to actually bring in my liquid glue here. One, it gives me a little more wiggle room. Okay, and then for this one, we're just going to lay that right in the center. So probably liquid glue is going to be a little bit better for this, just because you want to be able to kind of move it around. Then we're going to bring this piece is next. And again, this is going to go on this outside edge. And then that's going to go in right there. Whoops. And then our last little piece, again, I'm going to make sure that it's the right way up, because see, here's our little tag. And then this one, we're just going to put glue all over it. Like so. And again, because I have liquid glue, I saw that it wasn't quite straight. All right. So now I'm going to move this out of the way. And then I am going to get that up off my glass mat. I'll have to clean that really quick. let me clean that where I put the glue. I could have put my silicone mat down and then that wouldn't have happened. So we're just gonna, I just put a little alcohol on that. Since I'm gonna go die cut, I can let that dry. So now we're gonna take our gold piece and we are going to use our tags to go dies, and we're gonna cut out this one, and this little itty bitty. Can you guys see the little itty bitty one? Oh, I'm glad you think that's cool. So yeah, let me just lay this. When you have a silicone mat and you've got glue on the back, you can lay it on here and you'll be able to pull that right back up. So let's go back to the die cut machine. And we're going to cut these out. I love the keys in this die cut machine. They're super cute and I love them. Sorry, just trying to get all of that. All right, back over to our workstation. All right, so this you can throw away. I'm just going to poke the center of that out just to get it out. All right, and then this one you got to poke this out to get this little one. So we've got 1, 2, 3. All right, so what we're going to do is we're going to take this and we are going to wrap some of that twine again. And you can see my twine is really low because I've been using it. Like I said, you guys saw I was almost out of the paper because I've used it so much. Okay, so I'm just going to kind of start with it kind of hanging over here. And then I'm just going to bring it around the back and bring it straight across the back. And then flip it up, and we're going to go up at this corner. And we're going to go straight across. We're going to come down to this corner. Where's my... it got stuck. Go down to this corner, bring it back, and we're going to go straight down the middle. And we're going to tie this in the middle. So I'm going to go ahead and snip this over here. Okay, so this time I'm going to go ahead and do my little knot. Sorry, it's not playing well with me today. So this time I'm going to tie that, but instead of tying a knot, I'm going to bring in a mini glue dot. This is just kind of a little tip, and I do fold these up, fold them kind of in half when I'm working with the linen threads because they're not very thick and I don't want it to be seen. So then I'm going to kind of take everything, but especially where I'm tying that knot, see how you can kind of push that down and it holds it in place for you. And so now I can actually wrap this one underneath that way. And it's going to kind of help me tie my knot. And then, oh wait, no, that's not right. Sorry. I'm going to go ahead and tie that knot first. So we're going to tie this first. But I do want this little piece here in the middle of that to hold it together in the center. So I ran that underneath, and then now I'm going to tie a knot. Like so. Then what I'm going to do is I am actually going to adhere these two keys to each other so that they're kind of angled. So one's going this way and then one's kind of going this way. So I'm just going to put a little bit of liquid glue just around this top. Like so. And then I'm gonna just kind of angle that so it fits just like that. And then before I tie this on, I'm gonna flip this around, and I am gonna bring in my mini dimensionals. And I'm gonna pop one right here. And then you can see how I've cut the edges. So I'm just gonna come in and I'm gonna cut two really small straight edges here on the side. Well, maybe I am. Let's see if it'll, I don't think I got it cut all the way through. Shoot. Hold on. I can fix it. And then one of these is going to go down here. And then this one is going to go right on the bottom of the key right there. Okay. Now I'm going to pull that off. Ah, everything's trying to stick to me tonight. And then we're going to come in with our keys, and we're just going to thread this through here. And then before I tie my knot, I'm going to get it nice and tied up here, but then I'm going to kind of angle it like so. And we're going to tie that. You really only need to tie it once, but I'm going to go ahead and tie it twice. And now I'm going to go ahead and put this on the card base, and then we'll finish with the stamping and the sentiment because I just want to get this down and out of my way. And you'll see I do go back over those threads. And so here's my card base. And so this is going to be the front of my card. So I'm going to turn it that way. Let's try to get it nice and straight. And the way I try to do that is I try to get the bottom and the left and right sides the same width apart. And then I just kind of lay it down. So I'm going to, especially where the thread is, I'm going to push down and make sure that's going to hold on. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring this tag in, but I don't want it to be this long. I basically just want it to kind of go from here to here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring in a pencil. And I'm just going to kind of mark where that edge is. And you can either bring in your trimmer or you can just snip it. I'm just going to try to snip even though I don't cut so straight. But I think because I have a guide here and a guide here, I should be fairly safe with cutting this straight. So there we go. And then this I can use later, but not right now. And then before I put that on there, I'm going to move this out of the way. And I'm going to bring back in that congratulations stamp with some black memento ink. And we're going to ink that up. And we're going to do congrats on this one. And then we're going to clean this. We're going to set this on here. Oh, I should have done the inside while I had, yep. So on the inside, where's my other little, did I lose my little key? Nope, there it is. So the little tiny key is going to go on the inside of the card, down there at the bottom. I thought this would be fun to just add a little tiny key, because this key is so cute. And then we're going to use the stamp that says you're going places. And then we'll finish the front. Oh, hey, Patty from Wyoming. So glad you're here. So we're working with the On the Go suite. It's one of the new online exclusives. So if you haven't seen it in a catalog, that's why. All right. So we're going to stamp this. Oh, that's okay. It's a little bit cockeyed, but I can do something and fix that later. So I'm not going to worry too much about that. I looked up right as I stamped. Big mistake. So it is kind of going this way. But a couple ways that you can fix that is you can add something over here so that it makes it look a little more straight. Or you could come in with a strip and just put a strip right over the top of that. All right. So now we're just going to go ahead and put this on the inside. So this layering technique is also a really good technique if you have some paper that you feel is like super busy. No, they're not metal keys. I cut those out of gold foil, Patty. They do look metal though, don't they? They look real. And then I'm going to bring in my liquid glue for this. And then this is going to kind of slip up underneath that key right there. And it's going to go. These would make really cute graduation cards too. I know May graduations are coming up. Also for somebody who's retiring and might be traveling would be another good one. I'm trying to find some gems that I used for this earlier, and I'm not sure where I put them. They might be dots instead of gems. So hold on one second. Okay, well that didn't work. I just knocked my whole thing over that holds all my gems. So let me look over here and see if I can find a gem that will look good in there. I can't believe I just did that. Hopefully my husband didn't hear that because he'll think I fell or something. Well, shoot. Surely, you know what? I wonder if there's anything on here. Nope. All right, we're just going to bring in, even though these are retired, ignore that. I actually used the sparkle gems on the original card, but I'm going to bring in these, remember these Pebbled Path, the 2023-24 in color. So we're just going to bring in one of these Pebbled Path ones here. And we're just going to stick it right there. Maybe. There we go. It's like kaboom. I don't know if you guys heard that commotion when it all fell. Too funny. It fell into my sewing station, which is right on the other side of my... All right, so there we go. So it says congratulations. And then on the inside, you're going places with the little keys. So super cute. Now this last card that I'm doing, this is the one where I'm bringing in different designer series paper because I want you guys to think outside the box, even though the suites are perfect. So if you're a beginner, I highly suggest that you start with suites. Purchase the whole suite because you get the bundle, you get the paper, you get everything that goes together, and then it's really easy to put cards together. But then I also want you to think outside the box of other stuff that you might have that is going to be bringing in these dies for that last one. Okay, so for the last one, where we are using our bundle, okay, but we're also going to bring in, this is some of my favorite paper. Sorry, I've got stuff everywhere now because of that falling over. But I am also going to use the A Day With You stamp because I want this little sentiment right here. So this is another online exclusive stamp set. And then for this one, you're going to need a crumb cake piece. You're going to need some linen thread. This is your base. And then you're going to need a 4 by 5 1/4 of the Country Woods Designer Series paper. You're going to need an Early Espresso cardstock piece that is 4 1/8 by 5 3/8. And then you're going to need a piece of white that is 4 by 5 1/4. And then these little strips. These two are from the Country Lace. And then this one is another from the Country Wood. So I combined the Country Wood and the Country Lace paper, which is carrying over, and then also a piece of Misty Moonlight. So we're going to go do all of our die cutting at the die cut station. And so this time, whoops, that didn't work good. Sorry, I'm trying to get this little gold fleck out of the way. Okay, so this time we're going to use this die, and this die, the key, and this die right here. Okay, so on this one, we're going to put this die. On this piece, we're going to put this die here. On this piece, we're going to put this die, and then I need to cut 2 of the keys. But I'm going to go ahead and kind of make sure these guys stay where I've put them, because I don't want them to move. Not too worried about the key. Okay, so we're going to run these through, and then I'm going to run the key one more time. I'm going to place all these other pieces over on the workstation, and then we'll be back over there in a second to finish up this card. And then let me get that. I had to push the key out because I have to make another key. Okay, so we're going to do one more key. So I'm going to push that out and then lay that back over there. I always try to lay everything back on my little magnetic sheets, just so that I don't lose my dies. And again, please understand, the dies do not come with those magnetic sheets. I buy those magnetic vent covers from Home Depot or Lowe's, and that's what I use to cut down and make my dies fit. All right, so let's put all those dies back over here. Oh, sorry. I had you still on the die station. Okay. So this is what we ended up with. So we have this, and 2 keys. So we're going to stamp on this one, and we're going to bring in, this is where I told you I'm bringing in different colors. So I'm going to bring in Night of Navy ink. I'm trying to find my stamp. And then from the stamp set, we're going to use the one that says Welcome Home. So this is one of the stamps that's in that set. And I want to get this nice and dark. And then I'm going to stamp that right in the center. Okay, so it says Welcome Home. Let me clean that off. And then on the inside, on the 4 by 5 1/4 sheet, we're going to use this stamp from this set. And I've already got it out, and it says, doesn't matter what we do as long as I'm with you. So I thought that would be a cute one. So I'm going to line this up straight. And then we are going to, let me move this. Okay, I'm stamping a little bit off tonight. Oh, hey, Anna. Yes, you can purchase the dies with the keys. Yes, that is, you can buy it as the bundle, or if you don't want the stamp set, but it's this number right here, 165576, tags to go. And that's the one that has all of the stuff it has the little lock and it has all the keys. Okay. So that's that. And there, like I said, there is a link to shop in my description if you need that. Then I'm going to take this little blue key. So instead of doing it with the silver, I just did it in a cardstock color, which they're just as cute this way. And then this is going to go at the bottom, like so. And this is going to be the inside of my card. So let's go ahead and put that in. And then we're going to put the front together and we're going to be done. So pretty quick with 4 cards. You're welcome, Anna. All right, so there's that. And then don't forget, guys, if you do place an order with me of $40 or more between now and next Tuesday, I will send you all of the pieces cut to make these cards. The only thing you have to provide is the stamps, because any of the die cutting I will already have that done for you. Okay, so there's the inside. So now let's work on the front. So basically I'm going to take, that's the Early Espresso. We're going to take that Country Wood Sweet piece and we're going to just put that on. Can you guys see how using Designer Series paper really does speed up the process of creating cards? I mean, I like to stamp some of my own backgrounds and stuff, but you guys know me, man. I like easy buttons, and Designer Series paper, definite easy button. Okay, so this time I'm coming in with some linen thread, and I want to give you a little trick. So you know how sometimes that linen thread folds up like that? So I'll take my bone folder and I'll actually kind of just run it through, and I'm holding my thumb here as I run that through. And do you see how that kind of straightens it out so it doesn't curl up as much? And you might have to do it a couple of times. And I probably should have pulled as much as I wanted. And sometimes if you go in sections, it works better too. But that will at least get that crazy curly stuff gone. Okay, so just like we did on the last one, we're going to put our Stampin' Seal Plus first. And we're going to need a bit of this because we're going to end up tying a bow. And so I'm going to start off the page over here. And I'm going to go up across here. And then come around this way. And over here. And then back around. And over to where I'm going to tie it. And then I'm going to give myself plenty. Actually, I got to redo that. Sorry. I need a little bit more to tie a bow. So start that over. And that's, you know, guys, that happens when you're making cards. You realize, oh, I didn't leave myself enough. Give yourself plenty of room to tie the bow. Because I don't know about you guys, but I hate trying to tie bows when I do not have enough thread. Maybe it's just my thing, but I really, 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 really do not like doing that. Sorry. All right, so we're going to come across here, go over here, and then come back over here. And then this is going to meet in the middle there. Okay, now I think I have plenty to tie my bow. And again, because I have sticky on the back, I'm going to bring in my silicone mat. So I can just kind of lay that down, and it's going to hold all of those pieces kind of in place for me. And then I'm going to cut this over here. All right. So now, and again, remember how I told you you can help yourself here. If you feel like you need an extra hand, you can take a mini glue dot, fold it up, stick it right underneath where you're going to tie your knot. And then when you bring this in, I can now tie my knot. Right? So there's my knot. And in this one, I am gonna take this and I'm gonna weave it up underneath here, and you'll understand why in a second. So that one's gonna weave through up there. Yeah. Oh, oops, I should have tied my knot first. Oh well. And then this one kind of needed to, if I should have tied my knot first, but I think it'll still work. Like tied it a second time. And this one's going to come through this way. And then I'm going to tie another knot, which is going to actually tie all of these threads together so that they're not going to move. Okay, so there's that. So now this is really important. So now what we're going to do is we're going to start stringing these pieces together. And the way that I did this is I kind of glued them together first, and then I put some dimensionals on it. So I want these two to look like this, so I'm going to put a little bit of glue here. And I'm going to put that at the angle right like that. And then this one is going to, and I'm matching up the hole. So this one is going to be this way. So I'm just going to put a little bit of glue right here because I'm going to be putting some dimensionals on the back of these as well. And so that's going to go like that. And then my little key, again, I've got to line it up with that hole, but my key is going to go straight up and down. And this whole key I can go ahead and glue on because it's not going to have any dimensionals on it. Okay, so there's that. Now what I'm going to do is I kind of am going to set this down to see where everything's going to sit. I'm going to bring in my dimensionals that I've buried somewhere. Here they are. Okay, and then I already know I'm going to need a dimensional right here. And I'm probably going to need 2 on this one. And then probably 2 on this one as well. Whoops. That is really sticking to that bottom. So it happens when you get brand new dimensionals. Oh my gosh, everything's falling in on me. Whoops. All right, so now we've got all of those dimensionals up. Sorry, I'm trying to I grabbed a bunch of gems out that are retired that I have kind of sitting in a pile, and now the pile's trying to fall over. So we want to take the one that's kind of on the bottom, and we're going to string that through from the back side. And you're going to just pull it all the way up there until it's tight. And then you can kind of stick these down in place. And then you're going to tie a bow. And obviously I used way more than I needed to, but because I'm not great, that's why I have my bow maker, because I'm not great at bows. And so I always give myself, and I know a lot of people think it's wasteful, but I give myself a lot of linen thread to make sure I can tie that knot. Okay? And then you can always tie another knot if you're afraid that that's going to unravel. But then I'm just going to kind of cut it there, and I want it to be kind of messy. And then I'm actually going to, I'll use the Stampin' Seal. So then we're going to take our Stampin' Seal Plus. And this is going to go on the front. And there's only like an 1/8 of an inch border on this one. Then I'm going to bring in, we have some new, I don't know if you guys have seen these. I really, really like them. They're the low profile dots. And I'm gonna pop up all of the item numbers for you in just a hot second. But I'm going to use this one here, and we're just going to come in, and we're going to take a big one. Oh, gosh. And I'm going to pop it right there. And then I'm going to take a little one. This is probably, I should be using my putty end, huh? I think my putty end's almost out though, so that's why I was trying not to. Oh, it's coming. I don't know if you guys can see, it comes out super slow. All right. And then I'm going to stick that one right there. And then I'm going to grab another one. And I'm going to stick that one like right there. I'm trying to do like a somewhat of a triangle. All right. And so there's that card. What do you guys think? With the using completely different paper, but all the same stamp set and dies. Why isn't this sticking down? Oh, I didn't get the paper off of this one. Sorry, let me grab that. Yeah, if you find that it's not sticking, it's probably because you didn't get the top paper off. So there's my last card. Again, I hope you guys can see I just used Designer Series paper to create these, and that's where, you know, these came from. So let's pull them all back in. And so we kind of, you know, we kind of built up, but, you know, and then we have the one with the keys. All right. And so that is the tags to go. Now this is a suite. You can get it as a suite. You can get it as a bundle. But the bundle is the stamp set and the dies, and then the suite is the paper and everything else with it. Oh, Patty, I'm so glad you like the cards. So let me just put this up here for you guys. So first off, there's the number for the entire suite. And then you would also get that little, the boxes to make, they make like little suitcases. They're super cute. And remember, next week, I'm going to be doing suitcases, and I'm going to show you how to put together a travel journal using the same set. And then the tags to go bundle, which is the stamp set and the dies, is that number. And then I'm going to pop up, and I don't get overwhelmed, but this is everything that I used tonight. So it shows you out of the suite, I use that On The Go Designer Series paper. I use the On The Go puffy stickers and the Pack Your Go bags twine. Other items that I added to this was the Texture Don't Dies, a day with you stamp, the Country Woods and Country Lace Designer Series paper, the low profile dots, and the linen thread. Okay, so does anybody have any questions on anything that I have shown you tonight? Let's get all of this out of the way. So great. So guys, thank you so much for joining me. And don't forget, if you do place an order through me of $40 or more, you will get all of the pieces for the cards, these 4 cards that you saw tonight. Everything will be cut for you. Everything will be die cut for you. All you have to do is either have that stamp set or another sentiment stamp set to put the cards together. So anyway, guys, I hope you enjoyed this. Oh, the link is in the description. It'll say shop here, and you just click on that link if you guys want to do that. Again, it has to be in by Tuesday, and then I can get it mailed out Thursday for you. So guys, thank you so much for being here. It's so much fun when I have people on with me. So thank you, thank you, thank you. And don't forget to, if you guys have any questions later, you can always come back in, watch the replay, and type that in. And I usually will see it. It usually gives me a notification. But everybody have a wonderful week. I've got a junk journal class, my monthly junk journal class tomorrow. So I'm going to be getting ready for that as soon as I sign off here, and we'll be rocking and rolling there. But again, don't forget to next week, we're going to put together the little suitcase, and then we're going to put together a basically travel journal, and you'll get to see how you can use all these parts and pieces to do that. Anyway, guys, thank you so much. Everybody have a great night, and I'll see some of you tomorrow and some of you next week. Talk to you soon.